Over the years, the Sixers have been criticized for their decisions. They gave that max contract to Tobias Harris. They traded for James Harden. Then maybe the biggest mistake they made wasn't with Harden or Harris. The Sixers acquired Jimmy Butler from the T-Wolves back in 2018. Butler spent 1 year there. Then they sent him to Miami. And Miami, that was a sign and trade for Al Horford. Since the trade, Butler has led the Heat to 3 straight playoff appearances and NBA Finals. And Al Horford wasn't even in the Sixers rotation, isn't on the roster. Now he's in Boston. Butler led the Heat with 32 to move past Philly for a trip to the Eastern Conference Finals. Al Horford still playing with the Celtics. They have their game with the Bucks coming up. But the Sixers swing and miss is going to serve as a reminder to the rest of the NBA. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. I thought Joel Embiid had really, really interesting comments last night where he talked about who James Harden is now and who James Harden used to be.
Since we got him, everybody expected the Houston James Harden, but that's not who he is anymore. He's more of a playmaker. I thought, at times, could have been, as all of us, could have been more aggressive. All of us, whether it's Tyrese or Tobias or, guys coming off the bench.
That's a pretty honest answer. And he's saying everybody, he's saying 1 through 15, but we know who he's talking about. James Harden has to force the issue. And then he says, well, let me let you hear from James Harden on, the question is in here about his lack of aggression.
Why weren't you more aggressive?
Like I just said, we run offense, the ball, just didn't get back to me.
Okay, I'm not buying that. What other time in his career has James Harden ever said, hey, ball didn't get back to me? I understand Joel Embiid should be the focal point. Tyrese Maxey, focal point. To an extent, I guess, Tobias Harris. But James Harden has got to force the issue. Get them in foul trouble. Shoot free throws. But the reason why they have you and they don't have Ben Simmons is because Ben was afraid to shoot. You afraid to shoot? And if so, why? Are you just out of shape? Philly's defense is really suspect, but a lot of that comes with effort. These guys are all great athletes, or for the most part, all great athletes. Then it comes down to do you want to play defense? And I'm watching last night where James Harden turns his head and Tyler Hero gets a lay-in. It's just lazy. And it's not just him, but James Harden wanted to be here. Didn't want to be in Houston. Didn't want to be in Brooklyn. I want to be in Philadelphia. Okay, so what do you do going forward? That's really the key. And I remember talking to Chris Mannix, and he said, well, you got to bring him back. I go, no, I don't. Like, why? Well, you gave up all these draft picks, and you gave up Ben Simmons, and you gave up Seth Curry. And okay, here's the analogy I'll use. Let's say you have a really nice house and a really fragile foundation. So do you fix the foundation, or do you just keep building another floor on the house? And that's what it feels like they're going to do. Hey, this is really fragile here. Yeah, it's okay. Let's pour more money into the top part of the house. Let's spend $50 million up here. Well, what about down here? It's okay. I just got to figure that you can spend that money elsewhere more wisely than I'm going to give you $200 million. Why? Well, because we traded away all these assets to get you. It feels like you're compounding the problem. If I'm Philly, you might have to just look in the mirror and say, do we have the right coach? And do we need to bring back James Harden? Because those are two pressing questions. We all love Doc Rivers. Everybody in the business today, if they're going to talk about Doc, will go, oh, we all love Doc. He doesn't have a good track record. He doesn't. Here's Doc. Ask about his job security.
I don't worry about my job, Howard. I think I do a terrific job, and if you don't, then you should write it, because I worked my butt off to get this team here. When I first got here, no one picked us to be anywhere. And again this year, the same thing. So if that's how anyone feels, write it, and I'm going to feel secure about it.
It's a results-based business, and that's
it is, but you don't do it every year. Every time you're wrong, should you lose your job? No. So it's the same thing, all right? But listen, if you believe that, then go with it. I know what I did this year, and I feel very good about that. But again, if you believe that, Howard, then you just run with it.
Okay, first of all, Doc is wrong in, kind of portraying the Sixers as this up-and-coming underdog. Nobody saw us. You spent a lot of money, made some moves. You have nothing to show for it. Can't get to the next round? All right, you had injuries? Absolutely. Understand it. But Doc can't sit here and go, man, I'm shocked that you're asking me that question. And it's almost like Doc is saying, go ahead, fire me. Go ahead. I'll end up with the Lakers. I'll get another job here. But there is accountability here. Is Doc the right guy for the team? I think that's a fair question to ask. Is James Harden the right player for this team? To me, he stunts your growth. I love Tyrese Maxey. He's 21. He's ready to go. Not afraid. And Embiid is in his prime. But if I can't go onto the floor with a guy that I'm spending that kind of money on, and I'm just not sure what I'm getting when I go onto the floor. Like Kyrie, I know when he gets on the floor what I'm getting. The question is, will he be on the floor? Harden gets on the floor, and I go, is he going to give you 32, or are you going to give you 12? And I'm not sure. And I'm watching last night, and it used to be you would always know James had it, James was going to force it, and he was going to get you in foul trouble. He was going to shoot free throws. He was going to knock down threes. But this is different in the playoffs. So you compound that with a guy that you're not quite sure what you're getting, and then you put his lack of success in the playoffs, and then you end up with an egg last night. He scored as many points in the second half as Ben Simmons did.